Hello and welcome. Very excited to be here today with director Justine Bateman and her lead actress Olivia Munn. We've just seen the film Violet. It's Justine's debut. It's very exciting to have you both here at Tiff 2021.
Thanks for having us.
So I just love this film. I'm so excited we're going to have some time to talk about it now. One of the things, Justine, I wanted to ask you, because I know that you came to Tiff with your first short, right? And this is now you're here with your debut. Can you just tell us a little bit about your relationship with Tiff to start us off?
Well, first of all, for any filmmaker to get accepted to a film festival like Tiff is just like beyond exciting. So when I was accepted with my short, I was just like, oh my God, I can't believe it. This is so great. And I was so honored with that. And I'm so glad that Tiff is like my directorial birthplace, so it's very exciting to come back. And, with all these shutdowns and everything, I didn't know that I'd be able to present Violet in person. So I'm so grateful and excited that we get to come in person to Tiff.
Yeah, as are we. I think it's going to be wonderful to get to talk to audiences, have in-person Q&As. And it's also great to have this opportunity to chat a little bit before the festival starts. I would love to know how this project came to be, how you contacted Olivia to play Violet. If you can tell us a little bit about the history of the project and how you guys made this connection to do this film together.
Sure. I wrote it in 2011 and then did a number of, I'd written a bunch of scripts at the time and did a bunch of other things, and then spent about a year and a half getting the money together. And then when it came to casting, I always like to look at as much video as I can get on somebody, their acting work, their interviews, their online. And there was always this, and I'm looking for a particular quality that they've got, whether it's obvious or subtle, that I know is right for the character. And in all of Olivia's work, there was always this element, I don't know that I can even really describe it, that I knew was right for Violet, that I wanted to sort of tease out and expand. And then, Olivia responded to the role, and she really gave herself to the part, and it worked out fantastically.
It really did. It's amazing because there's so many, there's so many facets of Violet's character that you capture, right? There's the outside, not facade, but kind of like just the Olivia, the face that Violet gives the outside world. Like, how did you guys work together to elicit that? Because it really works. There's a lot of subtlety in the way that you perform Violet. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, thanks for saying that. It feels really good. And Justine can say the same, as when someone else can pick up on those things, because that was a big part of it. We spoke a lot about just the stuff that is just beneath the surface for Violet, and there was a lot of the character development, but also I had done 2 independent movies back to back, and then went right into doing Violet. And I also had been diagnosed with an autoimmune disorder, like a little bit before that, a year or so before that. So I came into Justine and I was like, I love this role so much, and I'm so excited to do this, but I'm so exhausted and my body's exhausted. And we really talked about how we can, use that in this, you have to really push a lot of stuff down to keep up appearances. And what Violet was really going through is what I think so many of us go through. We, especially as women, we have been conditioned to swallow all of our emotions, our fears, anything that makes us feel more human, just to keep up the appearances so that other people feel comfortable around us, and so that we can continue to thrive in this society that really hasn't really allowed for us to feel like we can really be fully complete people, on the surface. So, a lot of it was to not feel, to stay away from the tropes. It was really important for us to not lean into somebody who was just, we didn't want to feel like you could just see her holding on all the time. It was really important that you could feel it. You could feel that she was holding her breath, but that she's someone who's learned to like breathe underwater.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and a lot of it has to do with Justine being an actress herself, you know, like she is my favorite director I've worked with, truly. Like, and I worked with some amazing ones, and not saying that the other ones aren't amazing, but just as a one-on-one as an actor, like I had a lot of different struggles through that film because of all the stuff I was dealing with, like leading up into that, and how emotionally charged that film was, and what Justine was needing from me. And I could always turn to her at every line, every word, and say like, as another actor, like how do I do this? What do I, you know, it was sometimes so difficult. And Justine would just be able to like, we just zone in, just be her and I, and she'd be able to talk to me like actor to actor, which is a huge gift. People, like, I really felt scared going into it, but you know, Justine really made me feel like that I wasn't alone. I really felt like I had like, I had always had her to lean on whenever I felt any kind of doubt at all. And so much of the performance is really a huge part in what Justine was able to bring to me and allow me to lean on her so much.
Yeah, Olivia, I mean, I'm so glad it felt that way. And I mean, I think that's a component of the director's job. You've got all of these aspects, these ingredients to your collage, say, and one of them is the actor's performance. And you're asking, I mean, acting to me is such a fantastic art form. It's not seen as an art form to most people that do it. I mean, a lot of people think they just stand in front of a camera and say some lines, but you know, actors like Olivia understand you're bringing a whole world into the project. It's hard to articulate your essence, your body language, your newly invented memories, everything. You're bringing that into this set, this lighting, everything. And the director has to be somebody who can help sort of shuttle the actors into that, as if you're weaving this big component. And you have to be able to, they're trying to be on this level that is more ethereal and not connected to, you know, reality of just having had a snack from the craft service table. And if the director's not helping them shuttle in like that into the woven piece, yeah, it can feel really isolating. I mean, I know back when I was acting, you know, I had many times where I was like, okay, I'm on my own. 3 kinds of directors to me: the kind that helps, the kind that stays out of your way, and the kind that gets in your way. And most of the time it was, you know, they stayed out of my way, so I was able to do the work. But anyway, ideally you want somebody who's helping. So thanks, Olivia.
Well, of course. And I think just to add to that, is a big part of it is it's so difficult to pretend to be someone else completely and fully. And that's what our job is to do as an actor. You know, we have to really we have to embody like all of her fears, all of her anxieties. And then you also have your real life fears and anxieties. And how does that, you know, meld together? And, you know, there were times where I was like, a lot of it's, you know, Violet's insecurities I would start to feel, it's hard to shake off. You don't really shake off a role like this until afterwards. And even throughout it, there have been moments like with me and Justine where she'd be like, hey, are you okay? And I'm like, I'm fine. And I would recognize those things in myself of wanting to push back. Like it'd be something completely different. It had nothing to do with the film, but she's like, I noticed that you were feeling, I'm like, no, I'm fine. And I was like, because it's really hard to take on all of those feelings and emotions and not carry it with you. And to have a director that's like, okay, like I'm here, and then giving you that support, because you do start to feel a little like, you know, crazy would be the wrong word, but it's hard to know when Violet's feelings stop and when yours begin and when hers start again. At least for me, it was during that time.
Yeah, that is like that. Yeah, that's really wonderful to hear. I mean, there's a generosity that comes across in the film. And I remember when I first spoke to Justine, like even the very end, like you have all the crew come in and just you can see that there was a real team effort, and it comes across through the film, which is so. Congratulations to you both for that.
Thanks.
And I think it's telling a really important story, right? Like it's hard for women in this industry, and it's so. I just found it so validating to watch when I was, just all the nuances and all the, everything that women have to deal with in this industry. So, yeah, when you were writing the film, Justine, when you were getting into the script. What were you thinking about? What did you really want to convey?
It came from, in my past, I made a lot of fear-based decisions, and I, not all the time, but enough times where I didn't feel like I was being myself, and I unwound that. And once I unwound that, and there were different ways I unwound it that I put in the film, I felt angry after I unwound that, because time had been stolen from me. Mm-hmm. Moments had been stolen from me, days. And when you put all that time together, it totals years of my life that I wasn't really being myself. And so in a way, Violet's a revenge film. Like I thought, damn it, that was theft. And I want to tell everybody what worked for me, so that if they're in the same situation, they can get out of it. It's the film I wish I had seen at 19. So I would have become myself faster than I did.
It's interesting. I don't really have friends read my scripts or read pages. I've heard of actors who do that, but I don't. But I remember, my friend who was with me on set one time, we were shooting Violet. She'd read some of the sides that we had. Mm-hmm. And there was like some really like meaty stuff, and you can actually, and a lot of the stuff of the dialogue you see written on screen and stuff, and all her inner dialogue. And I was really taken back. She was the first person that I've really that's read my stuff while I've been doing it or anything. And she said, "Oh my God, I just relate to everything that was said." And I'm like, really? I was like really taken back. I was like, "Are you?" And she's in our business, and she's in behind the camera. And I was like, "You do?" She's like, "Oh my gosh." She's like, "These are all of my thoughts." And then after that, I would ask a couple of my other girlfriends just out of curiosity. And my best girlfriends are not in our business. They're like architects and nurses. And I asked 3 of them I was like, well, just let me know what you think. I just want to say, like, well, do you like this? Just read this scene. Just what do you think of it? Not putting any preface onto it. And each one of them had said, like, it was so crazy because I've had those thoughts. And so it was a really validating thing to me. What Justine was saying is like, if somebody, it's realizing that, like, because there were such specific thoughts, and we've all had them, and the thoughts are just so loaded in self-doubt and self-hatred. And I talked with my friends about it after that. I remember a common thing that we all kind of, each friend and I would discuss is like, how much did we carry that was put onto us by society, or by being a woman, being a strong woman. A lot of times, like, people say like, "Oh, you're so outspoken." And I'm like, "No, I'm not outspoken. I'm just speaking." Like, there's a big difference. But when you're a woman, you're outspoken. And what that comes, and everything that comes along with that. And how much is really us, and how much is us trying to appease society and trying not to ruffle feathers, but at the same time wanting to succeed. And I think that's what Justine was trying to do with Violet, and what I felt, and hopefully what audiences will feel.
Yeah. The interesting thing, Diana, is that when to back up what Olivia's saying here about, like, it being more generally felt by everyone, one of the most interesting things we found when one of my fellow producers, Larry Hummel, and I were getting the funding together, was the reactions from all different types of people. African-American gentleman from Atlanta who was in his 40s, I think, who was reading the script. He's like, "I get this. This is what I'm going through." This like a lot of guys at different ages saying, I wish I had seen this 3 years ago. That's what I was going through. Or, oh my God, this just saved me like months of therapy. I get it. It's been really interesting. So it's really, even though, yes, of course, it applies to women and women in the business, but it's really just about the human condition of having fearful thoughts, making decisions based on them that take you off course in your life. Your life may be should be going this way, but if you change your course, like in a boat or a plane, just by a degree or two, a couple hours down into the trip, you'll be here and you're supposed to be here. So this is, Violet's realization when the film opened, she realizes she's here and she should be over here, and she has no idea how to get over here. Like, her childhood friend Red is over here. He's being himself. It's like, how do you even accomplish that? And so that is, to me, like the most brave thing a person can do in their life is to recognize that where they're at is not where they want to be, and to make changes that are really uncomfortable and really unfamiliar and terrifying because the lack of familiarity and the idea that now everything around you is going to change too, like the people the job you do, everything. And that's what Violet takes on.
No, absolutely. No, that's very inspiring, Justine. One thing I'd love to talk about, because I'm sure people want to know, is you choose for the voice inside Violet's head. It's a male voice, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Why did you go with a male voice?
Boy, I wish you could have heard Justin's voice, Olivia, while you were shooting. That would have been great. I didn't record until after, though. But
that was a great question, because I had the same question before I signed on, because she had told me, and she was like, this is what, I got her vision of it, which I fell in love with, but she did say, and I want the voice to be Justin Theroux, who I love, and I'm, think he's amazing. But it was an interesting answer of why.
Yeah, it was kind of a crime to have an actor that good in voice only, to not have him on camera. But right. So what I shared with Olivia when we came on was one of the things that made the biggest difference for me when I was, getting past making fear-based decisions was I started looking at the fearful thoughts or the criticisms more objectively. I thought, okay, well, I've got this example I always use, this thought like, don't wear a shirt to the party or no one's going to talk to you. And okay, it's my own thought. I immediately give it a lot of validity. But if Diana said it to me instead, then I might think of it objectively. I might ask, well, what do you mean? Why? Is there a dress code? Why are you saying that? And so that made a big difference for me. So I wanted to give that to the viewer too. In essence, the most important character in the film is the viewer, to come in and like sort of put Violet on and go through this with her and experience it themselves. And so I wanted to separate that voice. I wanted to help them to think of those thoughts objectively. And the way I tried to accomplish that, I hope I accomplished it, was to make the voice as different from Violet's as possible. So that's why it's a different gender, different tone, everything.
Yeah, no, it really, really provides like this incredible counter to Violet, right? It really like underlines that. Well,
and also I think what's interesting is the voice in our head.
Yeah,
it's comprised of everything else that's not us, and I feel like that's what she was doing with having some other voice, and also a voice that's familiar to us. We've audiences have heard Justin's voice, it feels familiar, it becomes a part of your, but it's not you. It's not anything about you, but it's so familiar and it's with you all the time.
Good point.
Yeah, that's great. No, it works beautifully. Well, I'm very excited. We're like, I think 10 days away from festival. Very excited to be able to present Violet, to our audiences, both online and in person. And so excited to have you both here. And Justine, it's really wonderful to be able to present your feature debut. So thanks to you both.
Thank you, Diana. We're thrilled, and I really can't wait for people to see this and see Olivia's performance. I mean, everybody that's seen it, all the press that I've talked to, and the people who saw it when it was at South by, just remark at how great Olivia's performance is, and so I can't wait for more people to see that.
I'm so proud to have been able to work on this project with Justine. I mean, honestly, it was like such a gift to work with someone as talented as she is, and as kind and opening and welcoming. And so, and the response from people about this movie has been, it's especially in a year where there's been so much chaos, and then with me personally, with the people in my life and my family, with all of the Asian hate crimes have been going on. It was actually the day that all of the reviews from people watching at South by Southwest were coming through. It was like, I was like, my timeline looked so different. And it was that reminder that there's that, how much art can really fill our soul and really turn a dark moment into something very light. So I was really just grateful that I had the opportunity to be in this movie, and then to be able to have other people see it as well. I'm excited.